Hello, today is Saturday, July 11th, 2026. Here is your daily signal. According to the Associated Press, U.S. forces launched airstrikes against Iranian missile sites after Tehran targeted ships in the Strait of Hormuz, an action that has sent oil prices sharply higher and rattled global markets. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran have repeatedly disrupted stability in the Middle East, which is responsible for more than 30% of the world's crude oil production, a reality underscored by memories of the 2019 Saudi Aramco attacks that caused oil prices to surge as much as 19%. The U.S. maintains significant military deployments in the Persian Gulf, seeking to secure critical shipping lanes such as the Strait of Hormuz. On July 11, Brent crude oil prices climbed 3% after U.S. airstrikes temporarily halted tanker traffic in the waterway, and the U.S. Department of State announced new sanctions on Iranian oil exports, set to take effect on July 12, further tightening global supply. Regional observers note that the United States Department of Defense and CENTCOM coordinated the strikes, while Iranian actions are being largely directed by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRG). Major oil companies like Saudi Aramco and ExxonMobil are intensely monitoring these developments due to their supply chain impacts, with OPEC considering production measures in response. Going forward, global oil prices may remain elevated if shipping disruptions persist, and regional security risks could mount, potentially drawing in Gulf states and raising the risk of further military confrontations. Current estimates highlight that stricter sanctions and ongoing escalation could cut Iranian oil output by up to 1 million barrels per day, tightening world supply throughout 2026. In the medium term, energy infrastructure investment in the Middle East could face substantial uncertainty. Next, we turn to a high-profile legal and business dispute in China's beverage sector. Fortune reports that a Chinese court has handed Louis Vuitton the major victory over Shenzhen Molly Tea Catering Management, ruling that the tea chain's four-petal floral logo infringed on the French luxury brand's monogram and ordering Molly Tea to pay $1.5 million in damages. The conflict revolves around Molly Tea's attempts to register a logo similar to the century-old Louis Vuitton mark, an effort denied several times by Chinese regulators, culminating in a June 29 judgment from the Suzhou Intermediate People's Court. Background sources emphasize that the China National Intellectual Property Administration (CNIPA) repeatedly declined Molly Tea's registration attempts beginning in August 2024, viewing the design as too close to LV's. Key parties in this case include not just Louis Vuitton, part of the LVMH group, but also Molly Tea and its affiliate Dongxia Beverage Shop. On July 7, the court imposed a penalty of 10 million RMB plus 300,000 RMB in costs, and required Molly Tea to publish corrective statements on 6 platforms. In response, Molly Tea has announced plans to appeal, and debate over the outcome has exploded online, with hashtags drawing hundreds of millions of views and reigniting questions about intellectual property rights, cultural symbols, and whether global brands can own motifs rooted in local heritage. If Molly Tea's appeal fails, it will face not only the steep financial penalty but also an immediate rebranding mandate. Experts foresee the case prompting tougher oversight of trademark registrations, especially those tied to traditional patterns, and suggest continued public debate may pressure Chinese authorities to clarify the allowed use of cultural designs in the marketplace. Meanwhile, similar international disputes could become more frequent as global brands intensify trademark enforcement in major emerging markets. Now, let's move to the rapidly changing world of quantum computing and cybersecurity. New Scientist highlights that quantum computing pioneer Peter Shor's algorithm, which theoretically could break widely used internet encryption, remains a major concern, but ongoing efforts are underway to stay ahead of the threat. Shor's 1994 algorithm demonstrated that sufficiently powerful quantum computers could rapidly factor large integers, undermining public key systems like RSA and ECC that form the foundation of today's internet security. While the National Institute of Standards and Technology (NIST) has led quantum-resistant encryption research since 2022, and major technology companies like Google, IBM, and Microsoft are rushing to develop practical solutions, the potential disruption if quantum computing reaches scale is enormous. News this week included NIST publishing a new shortlist of quantum-safe encryption candidates on July 10, IBM announcing the simulation of Shor's algorithm on a 100-qubit processor, and Google reporting the computational strain post-quantum algorithms create in their Chrome browser. Key stakeholders in the quantum security race include not only Shor himself, a professor at MIT, but also NIST, cybersecurity providers like Thales and RSA Security, academic leaders at institutions such as Stanford and TU Delft, and the largest technology firms. In the near term, governments, banks, and tech companies must prioritize transitioning to quantum-resistant encryption protocols, since quantum computer attacks could be realized within a decade. Medium term, experts warn of potential disruptions to digital communications, cloud storage, and financial transactions as post-quantum cryptography is widely adopted, and they caution that delay or inaction could lead to massive data breaches, economic harm, and even risks to national security. Ultimately, international coordination on encryption standards will be crucial as the quantum era begins to reshape the global digital landscape. Now, onto the markets. International equities showed mixed performance. The United Kingdom outperformed with EWU up by 0.41%, while Belgium, tracked by EWK, lost 1.3% as the largest decliner in the region. In commodities, platinum led gains with PPLT rising 1.0%, but oil, represented by USO, slipped 0.3% and natural gas UNG suffered a sharp daily decline of 2.1%. Among sectors, the S&P 500 edged up 0.43% and technology stocks saw notable strength, highlighted by Nvidia with NVDA up over 4%. In contrast, healthcare declined by 0.8%, with Roman 45 being a notable underperformer. In single stock action, today's top gainer was GMM, Global Mofia I, which surged over 105%, while HAO, Haoxi Health Technology, dropped more than 71% to lead the day's losers. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.